interested. And keep it, I realize your focus is on informational reading, but you still have to enter into that. It's like, well,
we could make an animoto with the different pictures of
Oh,
the
you could.
that'd be
of the
cool.
grossness.
Do you guys know when you're gonna do this yet?
April-ish, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah.
They'll have their background information about the railroad and the process and the dangers of it
oh.
prior to that from Kansas history.
So don't mention it.
Well, no, I won't mention Phineas.
Don't
but-
steal our thunder.
No, but they'll have, that's one of like the subtopics is like the railroad for the project right after spring break.
And Christy and I are willing to like research,
Yeah,
find
we could try to
stuff,
find some clips. You
like
tell us what
send
you need
you
us to do.
things, like we can do some of the back leg work for you guys so that you don't have to, just let us know if you.
Yeah.
So you wanna make the animoto?
Yeah.
Is that what you're
Well, no,
saying?
I'm just saying anything that you guys
I'll have to
need
get
to
my
like
friend
help you.
Ellen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
you want us right now to try to find some
We can
clips
do
or
anything.
something, or, you know, play with that a little bit, we can.
Yeah, so once you get going, just let us know, like, hey, we're struggling finding this, can you help? That's, we wanna
Absolutely.
help with that.
I'm also a little worried, because what I've noticed in this meeting is that you're worried about time. I keep feeling like, oh my gosh, we gotta move on, because you only have 45 minutes. If you need a half-day sub or a full-day sub to calm this down so you can take your time, and you wanna make sure there's a day where they can come into, I'd be willing to do that.
Cool.
That'd be really fun, we could just have a planning day,
Just whenever, we just wanna help.
and really get Ellen here for that day, and we put it all together, and
Because here are my, or problems, or
Mhm.
I don't know how to navigate. When kids, like with some of the high kids, I had them go on your website, Blue Valley's website, and said, here, choose something, because they were gonna present something different. I go, find something other than PowerPoint to use. They came up with Prezi, and I said, well, I thought you were gonna try this. He goes, well, it's not much different, and I didn't really wanna read all the things. So how can you navigate them to get away, and these are the tech people, to get away from something that they're not already, that they're so comfortable with? Or do you not? You just let them do it?
well, I think if you open it up to, you know, you're going to, you know, the product, what we're going to produce, the culminating product, is that you have, and we'll have to, you know, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever you're gonna say, to share, and you guys had it really well on your thing. You have, like, you kinda had a rubric-y, all those statements were perfect, so you could kind of put those more into a real rubric, and we could do that, kind of play with that. And you tell them that, you know, you guys get to do a little bit of research and find out, and okay, I'm random, but find out other kind of random occurrences or things that happened that ended up being breakthroughs. And then you have to share that with the class, and you can share it any way you want.
And then the way they go about sharing it is they're just,
We can give them a list of resource places to go, and one would be the tech website. We might want to come up with, I would do that, again, that's kind of a success skills thing. How do we present, how do we share our knowledge? So maybe you guys do a brainstorm,
That would be
a
cool-
workshop,
'cause
a
that'd be cool,
presentation
even just-
workshop, you call it that.
They like seeing examples
Yes,
too.
yes.
Like, look what other kids have done. We did that with green screen. We showed them
Perfect.
examples, and they're like,
Perfect.
"Oh, okay, that's cool." And they've done that.
So you might do another workshop on what are ideas or ways that we could present information?
Mm-hmm.
And then they could come up with ideas, and then maybe that's a little mini workshop, and then you can send that to us or whatever, or I think that would be enough for them to go, okay, here's some ideas, here's ways to do that. And even, I'm gonna back up and confuse you a little bit, but when maybe you wanna do a little bit of that when you're brainstorming. Have you guys heard of anything else, now that we've read Phineas Gage? Can you think of anything else like this? Hopefully your science kids might talk about St. Martin, because he got a hole blown in his stomach, and they did all sorts of research that way, but you guys mentioned Velcro, you know, duct tape, there's just gonna be a lot of tread, rubber. I mean, they may already have some ideas, and if somebody wants to grab one, that's great, but then we'll need to figure out, what do you research to get those answers? Like, I haven't kind of thought about what's my Google question.
Yeah, cause I heard
well,
you
right,
say.
and
that
then
you
it's
want
I
like,
wanna
are
do
they
that.
going to Google, in the library, they're supposed to go
Or-
use all those different sources there, like the SIRS or this or that.
And I don't know how much you guys have done with like vetting sites.
Right.
But that could be a workshop too, where you're like,
Where
when
do
you
we-
go to Google, how do you know that it's
Yeah,
not
no.
a valuable site? Okay,
Mhm.
but that's all hitting on a lot of,
So kind of a research workshop, an
Yeah.
ideas workshop, a presentation workshop, call them like these little mini workshops.
And maybe your library, I mean, I don't wanna, I'm not trying to drag people in,
She
but,
won't be able to.
oh, okay,
I mean, she's all booked up.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Okay,
that's, no,
we can do it, we
yeah,
can
no
help.
problem. Yeah.
So you said vetting sites, and what was the other thing you said?
Oh,
Research?
yeah, just like knowing that it's a valuable site that's worth it.
But Kelly might not be able to teach it, but she'd definitely be able to already have it done and have a PowerPoint or,
I'm sure, because
she's already created it.
Yeah.
So just because she might not be able to, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
vetted?
she probably has like a lib guide or something.
Oh, she has a lib
Yeah,
guide.
for sure.
Yeah.
So then, one of us could come in and do that workshop, or, and
Absolutely.
that might be a really easy
And it
way.
might be that if we could get Ellen in when you're doing your how do we present workshop, because we could bounce both non-tech ways of presenting
Mm-hmm.
versus tech ways of presenting. And I think, if they were doing a brainstorm, you could almost put them in two different categories. And then when they had ideas for tech, if Ellen was here,
Mm-hmm.
or we could kind of look at that tech website at the same time and write some of those down. And then you could just say, if you're interested in that, you have to let us know if you need help. We'll get you help.
And
We'll
after
show you
the
how to do that.
workshop, like, they're still gonna fail, like, they might
Oh,
go to
yeah.
a website that's some
Mhm.
kind of a blog that wasn't, but that's all part of like,
process.
So do you
someone
think-
sees that and you're like, whoa, time out, let's think about the workshop, is that a valuable source? And then they work through that
Mhm.
stumbling block, or they don't, and then it's still a teachable moment
Do you
at
think
some point.
pairs are too small of groups? Do you think there's enough
Yeah, we could think about.
Yeah, you guys
failed
probably need some time to
occurrences,
think
random
about it.
occurrences to
Yeah.
That's a good
come
point.
up? Where they're gonna find them.
Are you gonna
Because that's
allow
what
them
I'm
to
struggling
have
with too, is how are
Here's
they
my
gonna
first
find-
random occurrence.
Oh, geez.
Penicillin cures gonorrhea. Oh, boy.
Well, there's a lot of drug things that are.
Yeah.
Well, here's
they found,
microwaves,
for-
Velcro.
That's how Latisse got invented, you know?
Right.
Teflon.
Oh, yeah.
But
And
we
I just
let
put
them just
rubber.
explore
Right,
and
organized
like
rubber.
initial explore
And
these
here's-
breakthroughs, and then they go with one.
Are you gonna
Right.
wanna do repeat topics?
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we'd have to.
Yeah.
Your
Um,
hope would be you've got a plethora of different ways they're
Yeah.
They're
presenting.
presenting 'em,
and so,
right.
or finding,
And here's
they're
the-
finding.
here's
And once you do
another
it
thing.
one year, you
When
can have like a
kids
pool
do
of,
something,
ideas.
and then
Yeah,
they want
let
to
them
insert
come
a little video
Mhm.
that they found on YouTube or whatever, the only way they can do that is like on my computer or at home. Is there any way we could get any?
We can't get anything opened.
No.
But we could probably figure out a workaround. If they find a YouTube video, I mean, it might be that they would have to send you the link, and then you could change it to like a teacher share or a safe share or something, and
Yeah.
then get it back into their presentation.
I'll show you.
Or
next
Ellen
week.
could be here that day to do
There's
that for you.
Absolutely.
There's a website called ViewPure, and you can put any YouTube link, just copy and paste it into
What's
there.
it called?
ViewPure. And you can copy and
ViewPure.
paste any YouTube link into it, and then it sends you a link that's just that video with nothing else around it, with like
And
a white
I
screen.
use Safe Share on
Yeah.
everything I create.
Yeah, I do, cause I'll post
I don't
stuff
know
on
Safe
Edmodo. and-
Same exact thing. It's just a
Mhm.
website that you paste a YouTube URL in. It generates a new one that's a clean one.
Like
Oh.
without
And then that
ads
goes
and
through,
stuff.
I would think that goes through our filter. I'll have to check that to
Nice.
see.
Yeah.
I think it does. So those are just some things, and then your product, you've kind of thought about what you want them to do. They have they're going to present
Mm-hmm.
their findings.
And I like it when they are interactive too, like getting the class involved somehow. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'll tell them, I want you to pretend to be the teacher and do like
Mhm.
a lesson.
Mhm.
And then it's funny because a lot of times they'll be like, well, we'll make a quiz. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's what they're used to and that's what they go to. But it'd be fun to see.
And then they're mad when we do that.
I know.
But they could do a Kahoot,
Yeah.
they could make
Yeah.
a Kahoot with
Yeah.
questions
I could see
the kids
having,
could do, I mean,
and then someone from Black and Beach or something coming and speaking, because I think one of those engineering firms has a failure day, and they can talk about, maybe things that they've failed on, or maybe
Now,
there's.
CAPS just emailed me 2 days ago, and there's a woman from
Burns McDonald.
Burns McDonald.
Yes, I've got her information.
And I emailed her last night, thinking of you guys, and she could come in or find someone to come in and speak. So if you want me,
ooh, yeah.
Mhm.
okay, I'll work on that for you, because that would be,
And maybe make sure they're a good speaker,
well,
yeah.
You do it.
I'll be honest with you, I won't know that. That's something
Right.
where you kind of will be like, well,
Yeah.
They're pretty good. I think thinking about this project, you're looking at really random things that we learned from,
Mm-hmm.
probably not inventions, I'm thinking. I don't know if you're gonna cross over.
Well, some of the random things have turned into,
Yeah, but you wouldn't wanna close the umbrella by saying like only things, like how do random incidents turn into inventions? Like, is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I'm
You wanna,
not
like-
sure.
I think that's why the word breakthrough works,
Yeah.
because
I love the word breakthrough.
because it could be invention, it could be a discovery.
Right.
Like with
I love
Phineas,
discovery, a lot of them.
it was a discovery
Yeah.
about science and
Yeah.
the brain.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, yeah.
So we like the word discovery.
I really like that word
Breakthrough.
discovery.
Yeah, I
How
like
those,
that.
led to discoveries.
'Cause then it
how
could
do
be-
random occurrences lead to discoveries?
Ooh,
Because,
I do like that.
Sounds
Discoveries
really
is such a good word.
because then it could be the Nike soles.
Because
or-
that lends itself more to, they were busy, sometimes it was like they were working on some invention and then some
Purposefully.
byproduct
Like
was like, whoa,
Yeah.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
You know,
Ooh,
or
yeah.
the rubber for the soul. Others were real random things like an incident or an accident.
Right.
So it could
So
be,
it could be
it could be an
Isn't that how they
accident, it
figured
could be
out
research that
gravity?
led there.
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
did anyone
Blow
hear
up
that?
in the lab.
No, that was
Yeah.
just like, did I
Mhm.
just make that up or was that in a cartoon?
What?
When the apple dropped on his head and he's like,
Discovered gravity.
Yeah. I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
That may not, well,
It's-
they
I
could
think
find
I
out
saw
if
Daffy
that's
Duck.
actually, you know,
That's
maybe
science,
is
true,
that
yeah.
a myth or is that,
Yeah.
reality?
But they might, some of them might get into, when we figured out like radiation and uranium and literally, penicillin, even though we don't need to go to gonorrhea or whatever,
Yeah.
but that was literally a mistake in a lab. They're like,
That's when you get
whoa.
questions. What's gonorrhea?
Well, I should know in 8th grade, so
When
we'll
they-
learn that
when they
next year.
can't pronounce it.
It's a
One
very
high
easy.
on.
Yeah.
But, that,
If
so
you
there's
know.
gonna be a lot out there that think, and so we'll have to kind of describe, but I think that's really, and then you'll work on a rubric to score these, but sometimes don't get
Less
too
is
caught
more.
up in.
No, because the first time you do it, it's like,
I think they're gonna be really engaged, and keep in mind, your goal is that they are reading informational text, that they understand the structures, how to read that, so, they're gonna have to probably do a mini lesson at some point about, I guess, maybe informational text, and then you're gonna have to do a mini lesson.
We've
or
heard
a
that
workshop.
pretty hard.
Okay, then they're
Yeah.
good. On speaking and listening, you may have already done that, but reminders, and those are definitely the success skills.
Right.
So I would say on your success skills, I would definitely put, other would be presentation, parentheses, speaking and listening, because I was just, at a high school when they were doing a presentation and they still need some work. Let me just put it that way.
And remember, Kay Beth Shute, our speech and drama teacher, says she would love to partner, so she could, since she can't come in while she's teaching, she could make a video of herself
Nice.
talking about,
And that could be your mini workshop.
or her
show
kids.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, she's very, very willing to do that if you give her.
Yeah, she was just playing those, like, we played some warm-up games with her before we went to our community service day. It was just like, man, like, you're so much better at this.
I know, getting
Like, I
modeling.
just, I'm just like, I don't know, I just can't get that.
That's
Use
great.
use
She's
your
got
resources.
charisma.
Yeah, I just, I'm like,
Absolutely.
oh.
Great idea. So
Absolutely.
then, okay, so I'm looking at their time, I don't wanna, but so if they were gonna like, if they had everything ready and they were gonna start,
Mhm.
they'd have their first day where they're just like talking with the kids, they introduce the question,
I'm gonna go get through
or
this stuff.
And show that-
the name of the.
that thing.
Yep, you would literally introduce your driving question,
And show the entry.
and you would show your entry event, and really let them process and think and talk and create, share, and then you're just gonna move forward. And whatever your next, keep in mind, you do your teaching through this. Whatever your teaching is going to be, I call it timeout teaching, or I love you do some workshops. But you really do want them to have the ability to think about it, and then to collaborate with one another, come up with their own ideas. You're gonna wanna do those two little, the little mini workshops on ideas of, things that they might already know that were breakthroughs, or research workshop on how we're gonna go about researching, how we're going to present workshops, and then you're really gonna let them take the reins. And
Cause see, we need to, all testing is done when? I mean, is April pretty open, the month?
April's pretty open.
And
It's
May,
nice to
except
have
for
the
those
technology.
days.
Yeah, I know.
For a
I was
map.
gonna ask you
Yeah.
about that.
So if
I
we're
know
doing the
that.
end of April, cause we kinda use this cause it holds your attention really
oh,
well.
absolutely.
Even how we did it before, you
Yeah,
know?
definitely.
So like the last week of April, first couple weeks of May.
Yeah, see, look at the lab Here's 7th grade lab. Look, it's already booking up.
Mhm.
You might just have to grab some
I
random
know,
days
yeah.
and then.
May.
You don't have the map days in there yet. I
And
think.
They
you guys have
should
carts you
be.
can check into your classrooms? Like computer carts instead of going there, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The
we
library
can.
does.
We
How do
can.
they do with their own devices?
They do okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah,
bad.
they do fine.
So
So you have a
Lakewood-
variety.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna, because Lakewood has the same problem, because they're as big as you guys are, and they've got just as many needs technologically. So their 6th grade team just got done doing a big, with Westingame,
Mhm.
an integrated, it wasn't a PBL, but they integrated a lot of stuff through Google Drive, and they let their kids use their devices to do a lot of it, and at first we thought, this is gonna fail forward, to use Dr. White's. But it was they did pretty well, and it worked
Okay.
pretty well, so, but I just didn't know kind of what your policy was on that.
They really ended
how
up
it
using
works.
their phones a lot for the green screen
Okay.
because for whatever reason the iPads weren't.
It's harder to navigate, I know.
Yeah. So a lot of
Okay.
them just had iMovie already. They did that and
But to do the research is our big concern, right?
yeah.
So we're gonna have to have that computer lab or have the computers in here for a while. So, and they can,
And
do a little
do,
research on
do
how
they
to-
just take notes how they want usually?
That's your call, that's how
What do
you
you
want
wanna
to
do?
drive.
Give them options.
If this was not anything PBL and you wanted them to do some research and some technical reading, what would your requirements be? What would you want?
I'd probably do Cornell notes or
Yeah.
I mean,
something in their
you-
journal or
Yeah.
I mean, that's still up to you, I mean, you worry a little bit about being too free.
Noodle tools maybe.
But so, you may want
Yeah,
to
they
give
can
them
do
some
that.
options of how they need to do that, and that may be, a lot of times we talk about, well, how do we grade along the way? There's constant formative assessment, but you may need them to turn in their notes as maybe a part of a grade for this unit. So that and maybe they have some opportunities or options of doing some different ways, but you gotta know that they're doing that. I mean, we
Yeah.
still have to hold these kids to the fire, especially when they're not done a lot of these and it's kind of wide open and it's still our core content and we still need to make sure that they're progressing. So you might decide that they have to do some type of note taking and they'll turn those in for a quick
They
check.
could,
They
they could have their option if they wanted to write it or do it on Noodle Tools or whatever. Noodle Tools, you can print it off, I believe.
So it's
and then
whatever you would
notes,
normally do.
yeah.
If they were doing a research project, would you have?
I'd have either like a certain number of note cards on Noodle tools probably,
Okay.
or Cornell notes.
So just have, whatever you
give
guys
them
wanna do.
Those options.
I think that you're on the right track, yeah.
Cause I think sometimes people think with PBL, you still don't do your core teaching. We still have to, as you watch them moving, you kind of like, okay, we're gonna have a workshop on.
You're just pivoting.
Yep, we're pivoting, and we're gonna have some, I love the workshops, timeout teaching, whatever it is to kind of bring them back together, get them, moving along where we need them to be. I think ELA is a little different.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if I was in a science classroom, I would definitely probably need to stop sometimes and teach some content, but, and then they keep flowing.
Because in the past, what I've done is like it's very laid out. Day 1,
You're right.
research. Write your notes.
Yeah.
Day 2, come up with your team. Like I have it always step by step. But are you saying more with this? They kind of figure it out themselves.
They do. You might teach the success skill of self-management or time management, and maybe you guys together, and you leave it posted. What do we think works, you guys? You're gonna, once they've had some time to meet with their group and think about what they wanna do, then let's do a timeline. What do we think we need?
Like, where do the deadlines need
Yeah,
to be?
where's-
But not
oh, that's perfect.
necessarily like, you have to do it on these days, but here's the deadline
Where
for
should we-
this. and
yeah,
this.
I love
Well,
that.
and
And
the
just
other
kinda working
thing,
it
I've
out.
used
Yep.
a chart, and the gifted teachers shared it with me,
Mhm.
where they write down, what am I planning to do today? And then at the end, what did I accomplish?
Perfect.
So then that can help with the
They're monitoring their
accountability that you
progress.
see it, yeah, and then if you stick in a deadline along the way, because everyone works at a different rate, so
Sure.
then you don't have to micromanage everyone, and then you can,
And you're still
Go.
available to facilitate
right.
all that's happening versus every day having to be like, I just feel like that was what I was doing all the time
Mhm.
too, was I gotta get around to this group and check this, and I wasn't able to really truly facilitate like I wanted, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that.
So,
In that same file on the Google Doc is a whole bunch of forms for them to do some self-reflection. There's some calendars. I mean, take a look at some of those, because one thing you will want to do is definitely have them do some self-evaluation, some self-reflection, and there's some forms in there. And we worked with a 4th grade teacher, and she's really doing a full PBL, and we just took those and they're editable, and we kind of edited them and changed them a little bit to kind of, they have a theme for her whole unit, so we kind of, it's fourth grade, so we put some cute stuff on there.
Yeah.
But, we made them all look like they all went together, and there's definitely some progress along the way. I love that, what I plan to accomplish, what I did, what I need to do, kind of setting those, because that's part of that whole
Or
21st century, that
if it's
definitely
if it's collab.
taking that ownership. So I would do that. I would let them kind of figure that out with some deadlines and some timelines. I would also let them play a little bit with what the rubric should be. You have your ideas, but is there something that they think is really important, and what's their high quality? What do they consider real, because sometimes when they say it, it's like, but you aren't doing that. You're the ones that said it should be like this. I mean,
That's great.
so I really think, and
So-
those are those little workshops. that
Nancy and
those-
Megan, I know the bell's gonna ring. Will
Yeah.
you tell me though how you even got started? Like, how did you even start this process?
Well, we had this. Okay, so we did something with Phineas last year. Did you do a mini research?
Yeah.
And we were like, let's kind of keep it open. We're tired of seeing kids do PowerPoints all the time. And so I just said, pick a topic from the book. So some of them went really science and medical, some of them went more railroads, and I had to make some sort of presentation. So like someone did little clay creatures in a shoebox, and
Maybe I didn't do this.
some people did more of like a poster or prezi, but it was all over the map. And I was like, God, I like that better than just spending 3 days like watching kids read off their PowerPoints. You know what I mean? And then we had the inquiry.
Yeah, that workshop, and the
Uh-huh.
woman helped us when everyone was getting annoyed.
And Nancy and I were like,
let's go
awesome,
use
let's
her,
do
and
this
she
for
came
kids.
over
At
and
the
helped
inquiry
us.
Yeah.
on September 20th.
it was on a Friday.
Yeah.
Everyone was like
Yes, they were
done.
grumpy.
And we were like, this would work really well with Phineas. Let's go talk to her. And she was funny. She was like, I'm reading the room and everyone is checked out besides you guys. And we were like, we know, let's come up with a question. Let's do it.
We're here. You might as well use your expertise.
And so we came up with this inquiry question. And then we were talking about PBL, and we're like, well, maybe
Last
we
week.
can, tie it to
Yeah.
Phineas. Because it incorporates so many, it's history and science and.
Okay, so then
all
you
that.
we've already had them come out and they were talking to you last week and they've brought you kind of a template. And so where did you even start?
We
Like, what was the
we
first thing you
had the
did?
Question. The woman helped us with the essential question. Then they helped us tweak the question. Then we just started going. What were our standards? It was speaking, listening, informational text.
And how did you think about inviting them back in?
Because they offered, and I said yes.
But you guys were really excited, and you said, hey, you literally said, we're kind of thinking about this, and we're like, okay, we've got a match
And we're
here.
here to serve.
This is gonna work.
We're all about using people that want to help.
And we're all about
We're all-
collaborating
we're
and
here to
creating with
serve.
you guys.
That's right.
This is perfect.
And do you think this helped, or do you think you would have gotten as far without them coming today?
Probably not. I would think
it really
not.
helped.
No, because you help move us along and think about it.
The one thing that I think is going to be interesting when you go through this process is your time. And I'm wondering if you're going to come to me frustrated because you have 45-minute classes and where do you think I'm going, Megan?
Blacks, humanities.
Because
social studies.
it seems to me like, especially when she's talking about bringing in Ellen and doing a mini workshop, 45 minutes.
Be tight.
To conference with kids or peers and have Ellen there.
So
to
if your
give ideas.
team wants to get creative for 3 weeks, do you have permission to do that?
That's kind of exciting.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That'd be really awesome.
Well, you guys, I know you need to prepare. You roll all that over, and anything you want us to do, anything